guys, it's Stacy here. So last week we started a new series called Family Matters, and we're taking a look at our identities. Who am I? What am I about? What is my purpose? What is my value? And we are doing that by looking through the story, what you might call the Prodigal Son, that comes out of Luke 15. So last week we took a look at the younger son and how the younger son story starts to process identity. So go back, take a listen, it's still posted. But this week, we are going to move on in that same family to take a look at the elder son. Because the truth is, the elder son's going to process some aspects to his identity also. But instead of just asking the question, who am I? Like, how would I identify myself? There's a part of identity where we're also processing and forming, what is my worth? What is my value? How do I deserve to be treated? There's a part of that we form and we process as we grow up and we ask questions about our identity also. And we're going to find that that is the part of identity we're going to see the elder brother try to process and go through out of this story in Luke 15. So, to go and read some of the things that happened with the elder brother. So the younger brother's gotten home. The father's very excited. He says, we're going to have a party. Enter the elder brother. Still in Luke 15, it says, meanwhile, the older son was in the fields working. When he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of his servants, what's going on? And the servant said, your brother is back, he was told, and your father's killed the fattened calf. We're celebrating because of his safe return. Like, they didn't know if they were ever going to see this younger son ever again. And the servant's like, oh my gosh, he's alive and he's back, so we're having a party to celebrate this. And the older brother was angry, and he refused to go into the party. His father came out and begged him, but this is how the older son replied. All of these years, I have slaved for you, and I never once refused to do a single thing that you told me to do. And all of that time, you never gave me even one goat for a feast with my friends. Yet this son of yours comes back after squandering your money on prostitutes. So you celebrate by killing the fattened calf for him? He's like, I have been here slaving for you. I did it all. Look at everything that I am owed. And you never once gave that to me. But this son of yours comes home and you throw a party? And the father said to him, look, dear son, you have always stayed by me. And that strikes me as an interesting way for the father to begin his response, because he's looking at it. You've always had access to me. I've always been here for you. But if we go back and look at how the elder son said, he never said anything about being with the father. He said, I slaved for you. I was here. I was doing everything you ever asked of me. But he's not talking about, I was excited to be near you, be excited to be a part of your plans and your future and building things with you. It was all about, the elder son was all about the things that he had done, and therefore the things he deserved and he was owed. So what's interesting is to go back to the beginning of this story and remember who Jesus is actually talking to. If we go back to the beginning of Luke 15 to see who Jesus is sharing this story with, we actually find that there are two groups of people he's talking to. The first, it says, the tax collectors and the sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. Think about being labeled a sinner. Like, that's just how people talk about you. That sounds exactly like what the younger brother was walking through, or people who feel like they are the younger brother. They get labeled by others. Their worth, their identity, their value is decided by somebody else. They're called sinners, the tax collectors, like lowest of the low. And Jesus is saying, God is so excited about you. There's nothing that you can do to ever run away and leave God behind, because he decides your identity. He made you, and he tells you that you are loved and that you are welcome, you are alive, you are found. But there's the second group of people that Jesus is talking to. It says, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law were there muttering, this man welcomes sinners and he eats with them. And what's interesting is this second group of people, these Pharisees, these teachers of the law, really resonate with the older brother in this story, because this older brother has two struggles when it comes to identity, and it has to do with worth. And the first is, he thinks he decides his worth. He has worked so hard, accomplished these goals, finished these tasks, did these chores. He determines what he is owed. And so he's bitter and he's angry and he's resentful when the father's not giving him what he is owed. But the truth about that relationship with his dad is, Even though the little brother walked straight up and said, Dad, you can go die. I just want your stuff. The truth is the older brother's saying the same thing. He doesn't care about Dad. He doesn't care about a relationship with Dad. He just wants Dad's stuff. The difference is he thinks he's owed Dad's stuff. He's deserved it. He's worked for it. He determines his worth. But the other thing about worth and identity that we see in the older son and the Pharisees and the religious elite is they think they determine the worth of others also. This son of yours comes back. He doesn't deserve a party. Look at all these things he's done. I've determined his worth, and he is not worth that. The Pharisees and the religious elite think sinners are not worth sitting and eating with. I determine their worth because of the actions that they've done and who I say they are. And I just wonder, have you ever known somebody who's like that? Someone who could make you feel so small, like you are insignificant. They've determined your worth, and they love to put it in your face. They love to tell you, oh, you failed that class? Oh, you didn't make the team and get that position? Let me remind you about my worth. Let me remind you about how superior I might be. I mean, how does that make you feel? To be told over and over, they've determined your worth, and they've determined that you don't have much. You are pretty insignificant. But the truth is, how often do we have those thoughts too? How often do we walk around thinking that we are owed, that we get angry and bitter, maybe even resentful of God because we think we know what we're owed, what we deserve, what life is supposed to look like. So we get angry. How often do we walk around determining the worth of others? I mean, that's why we can bully, isn't it? Because they look like different than us. They sound different from us. So their worth is lower than ours. We get to pick on them if we want to. That teacher is annoying or weird, so they're not worth my attention and my respect. My parents, my siblings might be like that. We often walk around determining the worth of somebody else and thinking that then we get to treat them how we want. And what's tricky is we can see the identity crisis in the younger son. I mean, he went away and he blew his money and he ends up feeding pigs and saying that he is nothing. But the older son's identity issue is a little more subtle. We don't always notice that we think we deserve and we are owed and we build our worth. We don't always notice that we're trying to determine the worth of somebody else and that we're treating them different because we think somehow we're better than them. It's more subtle when we talk about this level of identity in the elder brother. And this is how the father responds to him. Look, dear one, you have always stayed by me and everything I have is yours. The first thing the father says is, I determine your worth. And you are worth everything. It is not something you have done. It is not something that you have earned. It is not something you deserve or you are owed. I determined your worth. You are worth everything. It has nothing to do with anything you've done. I made you and I say you are worth everything. Every moment of compassion and love and inclusion and forgiveness, you are worth everything to me. However, the father goes on and says, we had to celebrate this happy day, for your brother was dead and has come back to life. He was lost, but now he is found. God says you are worth everything, but so is the person sitting next to you. They might look different from you, sound different from you, not be as popular, not be as cool. They might be a little annoying. They might be related to you. They might not be, whatever the situation is. But God says, I determine their worth. You don't. And I say they are worth everything. And that's a big reminder to us when we think about bullying, for instance. We think about showing respect to people. We think about our value and our worth. God has already said, you're worth everything. But I also determine the worth of that other person, and I determine that they are worth everything. So that's what we're going to talk about this week.